It took me a lot of different shows, so I'm giving you all a little bit of secret here, a little hack. Don't fill up your baskets because, don't keep refilling it. I filled it in the morning, or I would kind of fill it in the morning. Of course, I filled it on the first day, filled it right up, and then as it sold down, I didn't put any more in. So there were some baskets that I literally would leave empty at the end of the day because those people coming in at the end would see that I sold so much
Sold a
that they were like,
bunch.
oh my gosh, I
Well,
better get some.
welcome to the Charcuterie and Cottage Biz podcast, the show for makers, bakers, and food creators ready to turn their kitchen skills into real income without all the overwhelm. We're your hosts, Andrea and Patty, the Grazing Biz Sisters, a professionally trained chef and a multi-million-dollar marketing strategist with over 60 years combined experience helping entrepreneurs start, price, market, and grow profitable food businesses. Whether it's a side hustle or full-time dream, you're in the right place. Now let's start the show. Hey, 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 hey! We're back. Hi, sister. How are you?
Hi, I know
What's
it's
going?
been at least a couple of weeks. I don't know where we're at.
Week and a
Patty
half.
and I have been all over the place.
That's
So
all right.
sorry, sorry, folks.
Well, and it's not like we're not doing stuff that's related to what
No,
what we're doing here. So that's the important part about it. But anyway, it's good to see you. We're
yeah,
surviving the heat wave
heat
here
wave.
in we broke records in the Phoenix metro area over the past week. It was 108 here yesterday. Hello, in March. That's a
Yeah,
fine sign of what we're expecting for the rest of the year. Although we did see that in 2 weeks it will be back into the high 70s, but it's not going to last long. So,
yeah,
oh my gosh, terrible. And
yeah.
so you were at an event this past week down here in
Hmm.
Tempe, which we're going to talk about today a little bit. And I love you tell everybody your setup because your setup was amazing. Because you can't deal with the heat, not like
Yeah,
I
I
have to.
am. So everybody else out there, Patty lives down in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. I live up north, and there's a reason for that. I cannot
Yeah.
handle anything over 95, which, by the way, I'm about ready to head down and have dinner with her in a little bit to pick up my littles to go to San Diego and all kinds of other things. But last weekend, I knew, looking at it, there was potential to be really close to 100. We did hit 98 one of those days while I
Mhm.
was in market outside
Outside.
Tempe, Arizona. Luckily,
Hot.
I had a good spot that was shaded, but I was so worried that I was just going to have to bail on the entire thing because I cannot do heat. I've gotten heat exhaustion, heat related issues in the past, and I'm just really susceptible to it.
Hmm.
So I didn't want to be passing out in the front of, 24,000 people. So I just I went and bought an evaporative cooler that's meant for just local, air coming out. I bought it for 50 bucks on Facebook Marketplace. It was the best thing I have bought in I don't know how long.
For those that don't know what that is, because they're in humid climates, why
Yeah.
don't you explain what a evaporative cooler is?
So yeah, an
They
evaporative
may not use them in humid
cooler, that's
climates.
true. Like people in Florida and back in Michigan, heaven forbid, you couldn't use them. But when you're in a dry climate, you can use it because you have to fill up a reservoir with water. And in this case, I put water and ice too in it when I could. And then it somehow generates all that water and turns it into cold air blowing out of this fan with like a, whatever, a pump unit of some sort.
Mm.
I don't know the technical thing for it, but anyways, it blows generally cold air blowing out. And so we ended up, Patty was with me, we ended up like making this little cooling station for people. So we moved all my products and made this big gap. So when people came in to shop, people came in to shop, the evaporative cooler was not only blowing on us, but it was blowing right directly on the shoppers that were coming into my
Yeah.
canopy tent area. And so they'd stand there and inevitably they even bought, if they bought a $3 sticker, they felt like they were contributing to my, $50 Facebook evaporative
Well,
cooler. It was
it was
great. I
actually
mean,
more than that because you left out the
I
part
did.
about how you're powering it. Can you explain
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah. Well, that's a whole other story. I did spend a lot of money, but I bought that. It's a long story, but I bought a camper in the past couple of weeks. I bought a camper travel trailer. And with that, it's a solar. it's a completely electric thing. So it doesn't run off any generators or anything like that. It's electric. So I bought a Jackery solar generator and charged it up, and it ran all day. It ran the evaporative cooler all day long, no problems. And I think I only went down to like 40% at the end of the
Hmm.
day, blowing that thing on high and keep filling it with water. Patty's running down to the water station
I'm good with
to
that.
get bottled water that came out cold from there. And we poured it in that thing, and we were keeping as many people cool as we could.
Right.
And it was the weirdest thing. So I felt like another way to, to generate sales is try to give, what you can. And that didn't cost me anything other than, the power and the water, which was free. And it just kept people
Both are
cool
free.
for, we were
Well,
there for 3 days. Patty joined me for two of them.
mhm,
And the middle day, which was Saturday, was the hottest day.
mhm.
And but I still had pretty decent sales, even though I sell dry soup mixes. All the other products were selling too, so because I have lots of different foodie related items, so stickers and earrings and keychains and things like
Right,
that. My
right.
daughter's keychains went blew out the door. So
That's just so cool. I love that.
you just never
Uh,
know. You never know what's going to sell
right.
when you go to these markets. I didn't expect the soups to do as well. They actually did pretty
Did great.
decent. So, yeah.
Well, I think this is a great segue into our discussion today because we are
Hmm.
talking about how can you market yourself even more to make more sales in the future from being at public events. And I wanted to, and I was going to do it and totally spaced it on Saturday when I came. I was going to make a sign that says "Come in, it's cool
Yeah.
inside." You know, you've seen that. At least in Arizona, we see that a lot because it's so hot here all the time.
Hmm.
But that any kind of things you can do to help draw attention to yourself. So and then when they get in your tent or in your farm stand, what are you doing to generate more business for yourself, which I think is something you always got to think about, right? So we're going to talk today about that. So it's a great segue. So
Hmm.
Andrea had her cooling thing, and evaporative coolers are amazing and they do work really, really well. And just as a side note, I was so impressed with her entire
Hmm.
setup. And what's good about all of that, it's a good lesson for anybody who's selling anything out at a market like that when it is going to be warm and we're all coming into the warm. Hopefully, you're all getting into the warm season, not as fast as us, but you
Hmm.
got to think about these things as much as you, especially if you're in the charcuterie business or anything that can melt or be a problem child for you while you're out at the event to get warm and become unsafe. And it scared me a little bit because we had our charcuterie cart out last summer in the middle of very, very hot weather and
Hmm.
keeping it cool. I just want to warn all of you doing carts or selling anything like that. You think you've got it under control. I'm telling you, you probably don't. As much as you think you
No.
do, you don't. And because it's not, it needs to stay at what is it, 43 degrees. Good
Yeah.
luck, because you've got your little individual containers that are on your cart, and you put your ice or whatever under there. Don't load these things up with food because they will not stay cold enough. So while we're on that subject, just because I was thinking about it, the heat. So we're coming into that. So anyway, I'm getting off subject a little bit only because we were talking about staying cool. Um, so let's see. So today, let's talk a little bit about your event this week because I think what I'd like to hear a little, because I was there, I witnessed it, I answered questions. When you're
Hmm.
out at the event, so let's say you're at an event, you're selling whatever it is you're selling. It could be your charcuterie cart, it could be, it could be your breads, your cookies, whatever it is you're selling. In Andrew's case, dried soups. Luckily, she didn't have anything in there that was going to melt. You didn't even have, did you have chocolate out there in one of
I
your
did,
mixes?
but I put
Yeah.
it, so I strategically put it in front of the cooler.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So I have chocolate muffin mix that I use real chocolate in,
Right.
and it's not like it's cocoa mixed into the flour. It's actually got semi-sweet chocolate chips in it. And so I've
Right.
been challenged with trying to keep that cool, because the chocolate chips will get, obviously melt very easily.
Right.
So anyway, the way I strategically placed it, it was right in front of the cooler,
Okay.
at the top where it never got any sun.
Okay. Well,
So
whatever it is you're
anyway.
selling, you want to be sure that you're not just like people are going to be interested in what you're doing. And so I love the idea of people coming in and asking us questions because that gives us an opportunity to sell more. So like something at a farmer's market like this, you don't want to just rely strictly on randomly or random orders online or random orders on social
Mhm.
media. You want to be able that you're creating a consistent and a pipeline basically full of future clients out of the people that are walking into your event or your tent or whatever your farm stand. So you're not just selling products really, you guys. You're building relationships as time everybody comes in. And Andrew will tell you, and we'll talk about here in a minute, the people that came back from other events, we'll get to in a second. And then so your goal really is to not just sell what you're doing at that moment there, but to sell yourself for future catering jobs, bulk orders, anything along those lines that people are going to see. And now we're going, all right, they're asking about it. They're coming back. They found us. They purposely came back to Andrew's tent this weekend because they knew
Mhm.
she was going to be there. So what kind of questions did you like people came in and what did they say to you, some of these folks, that you felt was a good opportunity for you to sell more in the future to these folks? Like what kind of things were you getting asked? And tell us about the people that came
Sure.
back from
Well,
previous
so
events.
a lot of times when people come in and they want to buy, especially the soups or whatever, they will ask me, they're questioning whether or not they want to spend the money because I'm not going to lie, it's going
Yeah,
to be more expensive than going and buy your Bear Creek soups in the market. But everything I have is, non-GMO. It's
homemade.
all homemade. I dry my own vegetables, the whole nine yards. Anyways, so you give them that spiel so they
Hmm.
understand what you're selling and why it's different
It's
than
worth it.
what's sold in the store. And usually that hooks them right in. But then they just want to buy one to test it out. Okay, I
Hmm.
understand. And then they'll go, well, can I order more? Um,
If I like it.
if I like it, can I order more? And I always say, sure, you can, but the price is $4 more because I have to charge for shipping, and that's how much it is to ship one soup, which is ridiculous because
Wow.
it weighs less than a pound. But
Yeah.
because of its size, a package, it's soup.
Sure.
So
Sure.
yeah, it's not cheap. And so I tell people, even when I ship it to Scottsdale or Phoenix from Northern Arizona, it's $4. It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
And so anywho, that
Get it
usually
while
raises
you
them
get it while you
into.
can, basically.
Right.
So
And so what I have is samples. I do serve samples of the soup that's freshly made so that it kind of creates a, situation where they feel good about their purchase. Like, okay, here, just so you know what I'm doing, that's what I always say. Just so you know that I know what I'm doing, try it. I know it's 90 bazillion degrees outside, but it's just a little cup. Try it
yeah,
out. Make sure you like it. If you like this one, then I guarantee you're going to like the one that you've actually chosen if that's not this one, which 9 times out of 10, they get every one of them, or they buy the two that are most popular.
yeah.
So that is how you create that relationship. And then what happens is I always tell people where I'm going to be next. This particular show, with as many people that came, I counted it. There were 10 people who followed me from Fountain Hills and Mercantile Market, where I was in Scottsdale in January. I think that was
Hmm.
January, that found me in Tempe Market and at the Tempe Market specifically to buy more soups. And when they
Love that.
came, they bought 4 to 6 to whatever. One lady bought 10. So you never know what's going to create that customer. And the reason they did it is because they loved what they bought and they said, I'm going to go get a whole bunch more because I'm not going to see her. This is my last show down there. I think I may do one in May 1st. I've been offered an option to go to the home show in Scottsdale, which is
Is
indoors.
it inside?
So,
Oh, good. Where's that?
yeah, it's at Westworld.
Westworld. Okay, so I thought
Yeah. So,
you
anyways,
have an
that's
evaporative
beside the point.
cooler in there. What?
Right. So I'll stay cool
That
in there.
big
But,
tent they
anyways,
have. Okay.
yeah. So, but my point being, I had told these people at the other shows, I'm going to be at these shows, and 10 people showed up. And one lady came running up. She's like, "Oh my God, we found you." She was so excited. And I just was like startled. I kind of remembered her because she had some distinctive tattoos and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I did remember her. But the point being, you never know, how those sales are going to extend out. Now, I
Hmm.
have gotten sales online for other things as well. So, and those are coming from people, that went to those shows and wanted more of whatever it was. Because I sell a lot of things. It's not just soup. So I can sell
Yeah.
across the country with some of the earrings and other things.
Yeah.
So that is how important it is really to get in front of people. I was telling Patty, and this is just me, I find that I get more exposure just going to one show a month or one show every couple of months. I get more exposure and more people coming to my online marketplace from those shows versus trying to pay Facebook or trying to get in front. I know everybody struggles to get in front of the right people with your websites, but
Right.
that's how I find those are the best
Well,
ones.
let's be fair and say
But there's a lot of different
you've never
ways.
run an ad though. So if you did run an ad, I
I
think
have
you'd
run
probably
ads
get
on Etsy,
on
but
Etsy. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think and that's a whole nother discussion, which we'll
Right,
talk about
right.
on a
There is a
different
whole nother
day.
story.
But there is ways to run ads, which I
Hmm.
totally 100% agree to that. But I also like the idea of you going to the markets because they're running the ads for you. The markets are lots of times the markets are running the ads to get the people
Yeah.
in. The other thing on the same note is that one of the things that you did this time was you took our I thought it was brilliant. So we have a charcuterie cart sign, that banner that ran across the
Oh
front of
yeah.
the tent when we did the event last summer. You flipped that sucker around and you bought, well, you could just go and get one of these made, but I loved your creativity here. And you flip that thing around and tell everybody what you did.
So obviously the flip side, it's a 10 inch or it's almost a 10
10
foot
foot
long banner. It's only
by
probably about
8.
8 inches high or something. So we had it on the front of our canopy when we were in the other show during July. And I flipped it over. Of course, it's white on the back end.
Yeah.
So I flipped it over and I have a Cricut. I'm lucky that way, but you could also just use spray paint. You could use whatever. You could buy stickers
Paint
at the
it,
store.
yeah, stickers, yeah. Make
I
it work.
have a Cricut. I have a Cricut. If anybody knows what that is, it's a cutting machine. So, and I used permanent vinyl and I just made all these random, because I just bought this Cricut. So all I had was all these random colors that they
It
gave me
came
with
with
the
it.
machine. Yeah, I didn't have anything else. So I just made all the different colors. I made each word, which said fun stuff for foodies. I made each word
We'll
or
put a
each
picture
letter,
here
yeah,
in
a
the
different
YouTube.
color.
Oh,
And then, of course, put my logo, which I printed out and then cut with the Cricut as well,
yeah.
and put that on this banner. And I think Patty will, as she said, you'll see a
We'll put a
picture of
picture
it.
of YouTube.
But
Uh, uh,
so I did that because Patty said on the last show I was at,
yeah.
which was Mountain Hill, she's like, you need to have a banner up on top so people can see you from a distance, which is, I think,
Right.
one of the
I'm making
things
a
that
note
brought
here.
a lot of people came to the table because of that sign. One lady came to me and she said, I thought you would be selling like kitchen utensils. And so I passed you up the first time. I don't have any interest in that. And then she goes, and then I saw all these people in there, so I had to see what was happening. And she came in and she's like, oh my gosh, this is totally not kitchen utensils. I go, because everybody sells those.
Yeah.
I try to sell things that are interesting to people who love food,
That
which
are
we all
different.
eat,
Yeah.
something that's different. So I do magnets and I do stickers and I do,
Key
earrings, which I have some
change and
on, which you can't really see right here, but
yeah.
keychains, it's all food inspired. I call it food inspired gifts.
Yeah.
And so that's
And
that's
they
how
were
I do
hot,
it.
hot, hot. I mean, the stuff that you were selling outside of your soups were flying off
Yeah.
the shelves. And I would say one of the reasons too, because I think we go back to when you're at an event like this, how important it is to know what other, if there's competition there. In your case, you had none, but if
Hmm.
because this was more of an art fair, there was more expensive art. And I think people
Hmm.
were really intrigued by the fact that they could come by you and get a gift because we're in the middle of snowbird season here in
Yeah.
Arizona, so there were and those poor people were sweating it out in the snowbird season. But But they're all here for spring training right now. So it was busy. It was a very busy market. And I thought it did. I mean, in my opinion, I thought you were killing it. When I walked up, I was like, what? You're killing it.
Hmm.
Anyway, so because, and people, the lines that were out there. And one of the things I think that you brought up too was that you had a whole supply underneath the table, but you didn't refill, which I thought was really a good
Hmm.
idea too, because it made it look like people were, and they were buying, but
Yeah.
you didn't like constantly go out there and refill so that it looked like
Mm-mm.
everything was full because, you
I
had a
don't know
line.
why there's a mental thing about that when people see an almost empty basket of
Yeah.
whatever it is you're selling, they feel like, oh my gosh, I better get it or I'm not going to,
Hmm.
which it took me a lot of different shows. So I'm giving you all a little bit of secret here, a little hack. Don't fill up your baskets because, don't keep refilling it. I filled it in the morning or I would kind of fill it in the morning. Of course, I filled it on the first day, filled it right up. And then as it sold down, I didn't put any more in. So there were some baskets that I literally would leave empty at the end of the day because those people coming in at the end would see that I sold so much
Sold a
that they were like,
bunch.
oh my gosh, I
Well,
better get some.
she's empty.
They've,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, there's different tricks that you figure out with your products, but that's just one
One
of
of
them
the
that works
tricks,
for
one of
me.
the tricks that happened this week that was totally random is that because she was juried and had to give a list of the stuff that she was going to sell. One of the
Hmm.
things they told her she could not sell, was not supposed to anyway, was jewelry, like
Yeah.
earrings. And so but people were asking, do you have any jewelry? So she pulls
Hmm.
this bin out that's like a clear bin that's what, about 10 inches by 4 inches
Yeah, it's
high or
just a
something.
Dollar
It's
Dollar
loaded.
Tree
Yeah,
clear bin that I just carry things around in. It looks
yeah.
terrible,
But
but
she pulls it out and she puts it on the table and she goes, "Oh yeah, I have some, but here, just go through
I'm
them."
not supposed to
And
sell them. Yeah.
she never hung them up like she did in every other event, and those things were got flying off and then we were trying to mentally figure out why were people buying more earrings out of this bin that you couldn't even see what was in there unless you shuffled through them all.
I know
And
every
people
single
were
one.
like going nuts
And
in
there's
there.
hundreds
What?
of them in there. I know.
Hey friends, it's Patty here. Before we get back into the episode, I've got something really tasty for you. If you're dreaming about starting or growing your home-based food or charcuterie business, we've put together a whole bundle of free resources just for you, including calculators, marketing guides, AI prompts, our free Facebook group, everything you need to get yourself up and running as fast as possible. Oh, and don't miss our free webinar training on how to launch your business the smart way. You can grab it all at grazingbiz.com/resources. That is grazingbiz.com/resources. Oh, and if you're loving the value we bring you each week, do me a huge favor. Make sure to follow the show, hit us up with a 5-star rating, and share this podcast with someone who needs a little nudge to start their own food business journey. Your thoughtful follow and ratings help move our little podcast up the ranks of podcast land and gives us even more incentive to keep providing you even more food business success tips, advice, and resources. Thanks so much. We appreciate you. Alrighty, let's dive back into the rest of the podcast.
My daughter Sarah says, because I was like texting her at the same time or something, or I FaceTime with her, and they're watching, her and my grandkids are watching me sell stuff. And Sarah turns around, she says, I think people just like the whole scavenging thing. I
I
don't know.
agree.
She's like, I don't get it,
It's
but
like
they
there's
like to
surprises
dig
in
through
here.
things. Yeah. Yeah, they like to dig through it. And so the front part, which was the clear part that you could see, Patty had made these little earrings for me, these little bread earrings, they're little bread loaves and whatever. And we stuck those in the front. And so people could kind of see that, oh my gosh, there's something cool in there. And then they felt compelled to keep going through it. Now, again,
Mhm.
Tempe Marketplace, it's not my fault. People were asking. I pulled them out. I tried to follow the rules the best I could. So I didn't
Yeah, you
I didn't
did.
market them in any way. They were
No, no,
just
no.
people asked.
They were random.
But
You like,
anywho, little
yeah.
side note there.
I
It
love
was
that. But
funny.
actually that brings up, so when you think about the kind of things that you sell at your event, if you have expensive items, like there's no doubt her soups are not cheap. I mean, they're $12 or whatever. And you think, God, why would I spend $12? Well, first of all, this we think they're expensive to any stunt. Like if you could go and buy a can of Campbell's, but you can't feed a whole family on a can of Campbell's. And
Right.
this thing feeds 8 to 10 people. That so there's that side of it, but also there is the fact that it is something that you really can't get at the store. And so there's
Right.
value in that. So you have to keep all these things in mind when the people walk up and they're asking about it because they were like, and they're looking at the back of the, and of course they all love your container, which we've talked about a zillion times.
Yeah.
The container it looks like it's a mason jar, but it's made out of, what is it?
It's a bag.
Silicone bag.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it looks like it, which is amazing. Anyway, so but I would say though, if you could have different price things, because the things that we're selling really well were like $3 and $4 stickers you had made that you had. The $8 keychains, which I guess is a really popular thing with like
It
I don't want to
is.
say
It
millennials,
is.
but the age younger than that, maybe
Everybody, yeah. I mean,
everybody
everybody
like.
loves them. Yeah, everybody loves
Yeah,
them.
those are made out of little silicone beads too, which her daughter makes, which they were killing it. I mean, how many in the end
Yeah.
did you end up selling over the weekend? It had to have been at least 50, which I
It,
thought was
it
great.
was, it was, it
Yeah,
was close to 50. And
yeah.
I mean, I had bags of them because she had made a bunch and just mailed them to me recently, and I was kind of like, oh, so I filled up a basket next to these display things. Again, you test things out. I bought these horribly expensive display things on Amazon, way overpaid. Ended up having to glue the whole thing together because it was falling apart. But anyways, I made it work and hung them up, and people were just, that's what brought them to the tent initially, was those. And then eventually people would, buy them. I would always be like, hey, my daughter makes those. She's a stay-at-home mom, and, she has fun with it. And it's just, you got to offer. I always tell people when I met a lot of new people, a lot of new friends at this market, and I always tell them, and they're new to the business. Almost everybody around me was new. And they were like, what do you do to make this happen? And I go, you have to sell things that people can afford. You have to start with that to bring them
And
to your
different.
table. And
Yes.
different. And I said, you have to be so different because people, if they see your tent and you've got the same stuff that maybe the guy down the road or the other
Right.
road has, they're just going to keep walking. It has to be really different. Do your
Right.
research. Yeah, it took me a couple of years, I'm not going to lie, to figure out where I needed to go with this. And
Right.
I mean, I started off with a good product that I knew, but it wasn't making enough in the beginning. And that's partially because I didn't have the money to do what I was doing, but I was just going to cheaper markets. And you could still
Mm-hmm.
make good money off those cheap markets. You just got to find the right ones. It takes
Find
a
the right
while.
'em. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely there's that involved because I think you did well. You did well for various reasons, but one of the good
Yeah.
reasons is that a lot of the things there were like very expensive items at the entire event, and somebody could actually come by. But I also think there's something to
Right.
be said. It's like when you go to the grocery store and you see these items that are just right in front of your face. The fact that you did move the keychains up to the front of the
Hmm.
tent and they were bright and colorful and people were attracted to them, I think
Hmm.
honestly did bring them in.
Yeah, it did.
And it did. And then once they got in, they're like, wait, what else do you have in here?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that made a massive difference, which now you know, right? And
Right.
as you keep
And
saying,
oh,
you
by
just
the
got to
way,
go do it.
there's a cooling spot. Just stand right there and go shopping while you're while you're
Right.
cooling off a little bit.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was a
that
definitely
definitely
selling
brought
point
people in. Yeah. And
once
then
they got in
like I
there.
said, I think there was a little bit of a guilt trip going on there because then they felt compelled, like I better buy something if I'm going to stand here for 10 minutes, taking up
Well,
space. I'll buy a
whatever it takes.
$3 sticker or whatever. I mean, it definitely helped. I think it did. I still had good sales one way or the other because that was kind of an afterthought. We did that like at the end of the day on Friday. But
Right.
you
And
never
this,
know, and be ready to adjust and be flexible and try to have a good range of products that aren't all like the guy next to me had these beautiful wood things, and then I went and looked at him because I thought, oh, I'll go buy one of those, they're really cool. Well, he wanted $1,100 for one wood
ouch.
sculpture. Again, if that's it's great, but this is the wrong market for you. You need to be in a fine art market,
Mm.
or, nothing on his table was less than $500. And I told her, she goes, what's your key? And I said, my key, if I were you, get
Make
some
something
prints
cheaper.
made. She had showed me some beautiful pictures that a friend had taken who was a professional photographer of the products. I said,
Hmm.
you could turn those into postcards, you could turn those into prints, and you can sell them for cheaper. They did have, it was weird. They had some screen printed t-shirts with like country sayings on them or something, and I think they sold a few of those. But if your main product is something that's just, really outrageous, you need to, I'm not saying it's not worth it, but what I am saying is that you have to have something to bring them to the table. And she could have been selling prints and other things. And I said, and it doesn't cost much. You didn't need to go order 1,000 of them. Just go to your local printer and order, like, 10 or 20 of them and see how they do.
Yeah.
That is going to be how you're going to pay for your space. They didn't pay for their space. The lady
Yes.
next to them didn't pay for her space. And she complained because they wouldn't allow her to bring in her. She apparently did have postcards and stuff. And I'm like, I don't remember reading anything in there that we couldn't have prints and other things like that. She goes, I swear that's what they told me. And I go, well,
Yeah. Well, it's just
I
like
would have
that.
done it
They,
anyway because you got to pay your bill. So
yeah.
I know you don't want to break the rules like I didn't with the earrings, but then someone asked me for it. So you bring them out. She didn't even bring them with her. I go, bring everything. Every time you go somewhere, bring it
Yeah. How do you
because you
know?
don't know. Yeah.
And not only that, but I think the aggravating part at this event was they made it very clear that you were all supposed to be handmade bullshit. I shouldn't say that.
I know, but no, that's true.
Handmade
And they and
stuff.
there were
And there
people
were
there. They had
Cutco
Cutco.
knife guys there.
And
Yeah,
I
I
was
know.
next to
There
two
was a lot of that.
people, two remodeling people. One guy was a remodeler, the other
Yeah.
one was a landscaping guy. They weren't even selling anything. They were just hollering at people walking by. Hey,
Yeah.
can I
Yeah.
ask you a question? Do you need remodeling or whatever? Like I that they and these places always send you, not that they're going to listen to anything that I have to say, but I have to give my 2 cents. They always ask you in the end, and I have it sitting in my email box, what your thoughts were about the show and blah blah blah. The first thing I'm going to be like is next time I come and I spend almost $1,000 to be here, I don't want to be next to a remodeler or a landscaper or Cutco or any of those things that apparently are not supposed to happen at these shows, or,
I
Anderson
know.
Windows. So
Why you
I
ride me
friggin'
about my
ugh.
homemade earrings when you let these people next door,
Yeah,
but
it just
you run
drives
into
me
that.
nuts. I
Yeah.
know they need to make money too, but put them down an
Somewhere
aisle
else.
all on their own.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
it's frustrating. So, anyways, that's off topic again. We keep doing that, but I
I
will
think the
say
key
that
here,
it was
go
still
ahead.
successful. I made my money back and way more. And did I make as much as I thought? No, I never do because my expectations are always higher. But
Yeah, and
I
you
will
just can
make
never
that
know
money.
at
You
events
don't
like that.
know.
Yeah, how
Right.
many
You
people
don't
are going to
know.
show up. And then whatever's going on in the world and people, gas prices are high and they're saving money for various reasons.
Right.
And that next year it may not be that way, and
But
so
let me say this, and this is where we were segueing into from the beginning, is that what you're doing is marketing yourself. You're meeting people. Those people are going to go to your website. I always see a big bump in the week afterwards or even later when I do these shows, as far as people hitting the website and checking out my TikTok and following me in various different places, which not real good about making new videos right now because I'm busy. But the point being, you market yourself, and that's how what we're
yep,
talking about is long-term marketing comes out of these shows, whether it be the church one down the street at the church, or if it's,
your farm
the
stand
big
in
one
front of
in
your
Tempe,
house.
or the farm stand in front of your house.
Right.
You're constantly in front of people that know that you're a legitimate person, and especially in this world of AI and fake stuff, they want to know that you're real. And that is,
Mm-hmm.
I think, to me, the newest trend. They want to know that you're real. Before,
Yeah.
nobody cared. Now, everybody cares because
The
so many
question and
things
everything.
are not
Right.
real. And by the way, we are real. So if you look at us,
Yeah, obviously.
we don't.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think the real key is if you're going to set up markets or farm stands or just go to the weekend farmers market or whatever you're
Yeah.
doing, it's a great place to a testing ground for products. So you can create these things and then don't make a lot, just see how they do,
Hmm.
whatever it is. If it's, I decided I was going to do, sourdough, cinnamon rolls or whatever, and see how they do. So and if you sell out, you sell out. Next time, if I do this
Yeah.
event, I'll try to make more, whatever, but plan ahead. But try to come up. I love the idea that you come up with something a little bit less expensive to bring people in and get them familiar with you, have them buy
Hmm.
something, and now they know and they can grab a card. Which, talking about websites, you got to be sure you've got cards. You've got a website, which, by the way, as you all should remember, that's what we do for people. We
Hmm.
help you get your site and all your marketing running. That's what our goal is for you. What's the use of doing all this if nobody knows you exist? So that's what we
Yeah.
do and help you out. Make sure that you're following us, and all of those places. Obviously, you're here, you know about us. Make sure you join our Facebook group. It's the Cottage Biz and I'm sorry, the Great Charcuterie and Cottage Big
What are we?
Success group on Facebook. I know I keep changing it. But okay, so selling out is okay, and using QR
Yeah, it
codes,
is.
other ways to get people to, like Andrew said, to come back to you, is have some QR codes, offer up coupons, but that means you have to have, like, ideally the software which we provide for coupons, and to be able to have them apply it if they're going to come online and buy things like that.
Right.
Other ideas would be to have like giveaways. You could also say, I'm going to have a raffle. But so if you're here now, you don't have to be, I would say you don't have to be here to win. Just capture their information. If they come into your tent or whatever you're doing, you say, hey, I realize you may not want anything now, but maybe you do. We're having a raffle. Do you want to get involved? That becomes your mailing list. You want to at least capture their first name. The easiest things you can get is their first name, which I always recommend, at least their first
Hmm.
name and an email. If you can capture their phone number, that's amazing, because that now you can text them if you have the software like we have. You really
Yeah.
don't want to be manually doing this stuff. All of this happens on what we call a landing page or a squeeze page that you could put straight on your website, or you could have a separate piece of software, the piece of, basically a separate landing page. We, again, offer all this stuff. We've got it all pre-built, but come check us out, see what we got for this. But you want to automate this as much as possible to be able to
Hmm.
build your mailing list so that you can tell people where you're going to be, and that how important that is. So your mailing list and email, once you capture that, no matter what happens on social media, you might get kicked off. If you got to be careful what you're doing in groups. Make sure that the group is allowing you to post things. I
Hmm.
find I don't normally go in and post something straight out. I usually am responding in groups. So if you can join the local foodie groups and people are asking, who do you know that sells this, that, or the other thing, you're in there, right? And you can post back to it. And usually they let you do that. But I would be careful. Just make sure you know the rules, because you don't want to get kicked
Yeah.
out. But you have the ability to do that. Another thing you could consider is loyalty cards. So if somebody buys a certain number of things, when I go get my nails done, I have a loyalty card and they always sign off on it. And then I get a certain number of sign offs, and then I get like 20% off whatever visit it is, 10th,
Hmm.
10th
Hmm.
visit. So that's kind of a loyalty card, which you could have people come back, especially if you're set up every week in your farm stand. I would be doing that for sure. People
Yeah.
are going to get to know you because you have your signature product that they always want to come back to, whatever that is. So definitely do that. Another thing to consider is pre-ordering, so people can come and if like holidays are coming up, like what's coming up? Mother's Day? Is that next? Mother's
Mother's
Day?
Day is coming. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mother's Day is coming. And then, of course, 4th of July.
Father's
So
Day,
for
Mother's Day,
grazing, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Memorial.
I always forget about Father's Day.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Father's Day, yeah, for
Mother's
sure.
Day,
So
Memorial Day.
there's
There's
a
a lot
bunch
of
of things
stuff.
coming up for those charcuterie folks out there, or even for anybody who's doing
Any
any
bakers?
catering. Yeah,
Yeah.
any bakers. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
bazillion different options out there.
Right.
So,
So you could now say, hey, make sure that you get on pre-orders, because when they walk into your tents, they were taking orders now for Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to make sure we don't run out. So you want to order ahead of time. So you got to kind of plan all this. But again, the easiest thing, the last thing you want to do, and I always tell realtors this because you guys most of you know that I'm also a professional real estate agent, and also I help them market. Is I always tell them the last thing you want to do is have them walk into an open house and fill out a piece of paper, and then you at the end of the day have to go put this stuff into your into your sending emails
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
because the only reason you're really doing open houses, most of the time, you're not really going to sell the house. You're doing it to get leads. And this is very similar. You have an open house at your market, and if they're not going to buy, which some of them won't, chances are most people that walk into your tent are not going to buy unless they're
Mm-hmm.
purposely driving by your farm stand, I suppose. But um, they're not going to buy necessarily, but capture their information at every opportunity that you can. And we, Andrea, you and I really need to get better about this while we're out there too. Sometimes we
Yeah.
don't plan as much, but we could totally be on it because we're busy, things happen. But if you plan in advance and you get it set up once it's set up and it's all automated, they hover over your QR code and say, hey, we're doing you want to get a coupon or get on the loyalty thing. You could even set the loyalty thing up. It doesn't need to be hand cards. It just can be, come in, and every time they come in, the system can recognize that they're back and it'll add a
Yeah.
point to them. So it can
Mm-hmm.
do that. So there's so many ways that you can kind of plan, but you got to plan ahead. And once it's set up, so I tell the open house people, you won't have to do this again. Next week, now what happens is when they sign up, you're putting them on a mailing list and they're getting something automatically from you every week or every 2 weeks. And it's education about what you sell. It's also education in general on these
Mm-hmm.
mailing lists, because you can start, hey, here's a cool recipe or something to think about when you're entertaining, or if you're thinking about making your own sourdough, give them tips and advice. And here's the thing, people, is that the bottom line is most of them are not going to do it. They're just going to go, this is too much for me, I might as well just go buy it from her, because
Yeah.
it's nice
Yeah.
to learn how to do it, but I'm not into this. I'd rather just buy it and not have all the hassle. So, but it's okay to educate about it. And the more that you educate, the more people trust you. We are in a serious trust recession right now
Yeah.
because of AI. Nobody
Yeah.
believes anything. It's all fake news or whatever all that BS is about. But our
Don't even want to go
don't
down
get me
that.
started. But bottom line is, we really just want you to get more sales, and you need to take advantage of getting face to face with people like
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
So, to get back on the signage thing, one of the things that I encouraged Andrew to do on that, because at the event she was in Fountain Hills, I walked up and your sign is in the back or on the side, and I don't even know what you're selling. So I'd
It
have to
was
look real
packed
hard.
too,
And it
so
was
it was
crowd.
hard to see. It was
Yes.
that one. There's space in that particular event was very. We felt like nobody wanted to stop because if you stopped, you'd be holding up 50 people behind you. So it
Right.
was a very crowded. It was a crowded market by choice. They had people too it was just too close together. But with that said, Patty said if you had a banner on top, people would know what you had and they would make the effort to stop and go ahead and shoot themselves into your tent. It's not like I
Yeah.
didn't leave space, but
Yeah.
I did. If they came in, they would be, they'd probably be stuck in there for a little while, but that's what you want.
Right.
And she made that point and I was like, that's it. I have the stuff to do it. This is dumb. Why don't I do it? I did it.
It was
And I
great.
think it did. I didn't have that same issue in Tempe. It was much more spread out, a lot more airy, but there were still people who saw me from across the way going, what has she got?
I saw that.
Like
Yeah.
I didn't
I
put dry soup mixes. I just put my tagline, which is fun stuff for foodies. And people were like questioning what the hell I sold. And that brought them. And then, of course, they saw my daughter's keychains. Yeah. And then they were like, what in the world is happening in here?
Oh,
So,
dude,
you
that
know,
actually is a good point. You know why? Because I talk a lot about subject lines when I talk about email. And I always tell people you don't want to give away the store
no, no,
on in your subject line, like you said, dried soups. If you put that on the top of the sign,
they
people
would
would
have
make
kept
a
walking.
decision and go,
Hmm.
"Oh, dried soups,
Yeah.
I don't want those."
That's
Plus,
why I
it's a
didn't do
hundred,
it.
it's 105 degrees out here. I ain't stopping by. So
Right,
good
right.
call on that. Good
Yeah, that's
call.
why I did a lot of, so I knew that from I have a regular banner with my website and all my other info, whatever. I belong to the Better Business Bureau. All these little logo things are on there and whatnot. And of course, the scan QR code is on this massive banner. And my tagline on there is, it says Chef Andrea Goodies, but then it says fun stuff for foodies because I didn't want it to be at the time when I first started doing all of this. I
Weren't sure what you
didn't
were
do the
selling.
dry soup mixes. I didn't know
Yeah,
what the hell I was doing. And that's the
right.
God's honest truth. I just thought, I'm going to throw myself out there and do what I feel like doing, and maybe people will like my stuff. I have no idea in the end. Yes, they do. And it's taken a while to figure it all out. But they love the idea of having, something that isn't like, I don't do kitchen towels. I don't do,
Mhm.
burned wood, uh,
Ceramic bowls and things like
whatever,
that. Yeah,
like I
yeah.
don't do all
Wasn't your
that
thing.
stuff. I do a totally different, I go a totally different route with it. And I happen to know that I sell what I sell. Now there's a lot of people doing food earrings and stuff, but like the whole concept of what I do inside my booth is not anything anyone else is doing. So I'm very fortunate in the fact that I've stumbled across something that people enjoy and like. And there's a lot of whimsical people. That's what I like to call them. I call them whimsical people that come to my booth and see the fun things that I have. But the fun stuff for foodies is just something I made up one day. I don't know. I don't even know where that came from. But
Well, I think
anyways,
for those of
it
you who are
just
listening and
worked.
going, well, what could I do that's going to be outside the box a little bit? I would say go into ChatGPT, use your AI, yes, and go in there and say, hey, I sell sourdough bread, and I'm trying to come up with some other products that I could sell that are less expensive to draw people into the tent. Tell them exactly what we're telling you that we're saying.
Hmm.
What can we do to draw more people to me, and that will help pay for the event? That will be a lower ticket item,
Right.
and that maybe I can either make, or if you're able to buy, stuff, you can go to, I believe it or not, Temu, Alibaba, all those places. That stuff
Yeah.
works. You can buy this stuff from there. Andres, some of her best things she sells is like this. What is that chicken nugget thing? Oh
Oh,
my
the
God,
dumb
chicken.
chicken nugget. The chicken
Yeah,
nugget and a shrimp keychain. They are realistic. I do buy them
they
from
do look
Temu.
real.
I couldn't put them out at this Tempe event, and I thought about putting them out, but I decided not to. And in fact, I'm going to phase them out entirely only
Go with the
because
keychain.
there are a lot of the events that I'm going to now that really are. I do find that even though those things sell, the homemade keychains will do better. The design, the original design stickers do better. So it has to be something that they can't just go online and find somewhere,
All the time. Well, to
Yeah.
get back on that point, I think what you realized was is the fact that you did not put those out is it drew
Hmm.
people to the other items
Which were
which you made more
nicer.
money on, which were
Hmm.
nicer, and they weren't just drawn to this, $3 tick thing that you bought on whatever Temu or wherever you bought them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's something to be said about that is you don't want to step on your own toes when
Right. Which I
you're
did.
putting, which you
Hmm.
didn't realize until this weekend when you saw how
Yeah.
those things were flying off the
Yeah.
plus you marketed them better because they were at the front of the, so there was a lot going on there that we learned, and I
Right.
thought that was good, that because we were analyzing everything every
We
time
were.
something
We were.
happened. It's like, why you had these magnets that you make and you had them stuck up on top on something that they could actually see when they walked in. They were seeing
Right.
them all laying flat on the table before they saw them sitting up here,
Yeah.
which was just nuts.
I I threw them in a basket because I was like tired of trying to market the crap out of these and nobody was looking at them when they were actually hanging up. So I put them in a basket and laid them on the ground and I'm lo and behold, I've been scrambling around making more magnets this week because that was the one thing also on top of the keychains, which I don't make. My daughter makes those. But that was the other thing that flew out the door. So I was like, I gotta make, yeah, I'm in this mad scramble to make keychains, or I'm sorry, magnets. And
Magnets
those are
now.
little diamond art. They're little food diamond art magnets that, they're little kits that I buy and they don't cost me a lot. And I sit here and watch TV and make them. But
Mm-hmm.
That's another
Okay,
weird,
mom.
like who knew exactly? Who knew that putting them in the basket was actually going to be the way that, again, my daughter says people love to scavenge, mom. They're
Yeah.
yard
Who would have
sailors,
thought? Yeah.
so they want to come in and they want to dig, they see the ones on the top, and then all of a sudden it's like, what else is down there?
Yeah.
So there's a curiosity factor that goes on with that. And as a person from a retail hospitality sector, that's what I did my whole professional career. I'm astounded by the fact that people want to yard sale it. More power to them because that's easier for me to throw it all in a basket rather than trying to
Yeah.
be creative and put it in front of your face. Because apparently putting it in front of their face, they don't notice it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
who knew?
there's just so many different weird things that actually happen that we learn from,
Yeah,
right? So,
right.
just to kind of wrap this up, I would say that after the event, now, what are you going to do? So, we're going to get people on mailing lists, and if you ideally have what we call a CRM, a customer relationship management software, that if you have a landing page or they use a QR code, they're basically filling out their own forms right on their phones or whatever it is they're doing to get, I mean, you could give them your iPad if you want to do that. But ideally,
Hmm.
they just scan over with their phone, they fill out a quick form to get on the mailing list. And again, try to avoid using paper to do this stuff if you have to,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you don't have these tools, because you just don't want to go back and have to deal with putting this in. If it's all
Right.
automatic, the minute it comes in, it will trigger what we call a drip campaign or a workflow, something that will automatically engage with them that say, hey, thanks so much for joining us at the market or at the farm stand. Give them more information about you, send them the link back to your website. We've got more products, and it will also then give them an opportunity to find out when you're going to be available next, where you're going to be,
Right.
else are you selling, all of these things. So you want to do that. And again, we offer all these things to help you, right? So definitely tap into us. All of our stuff's
Mhm.
in the show notes, so to get a hold of us. So we've got a lot of free offers and help, right? And also some paid stuff, obviously. But we can help you with all of this. And you just tell us what it is you're trying to accomplish, and we will help you accomplish it no matter what kind of products you're selling. It could be earrings, it could be bread, it could be charcuterie. It doesn't matter. We can help you with all of these things.
Mhm.
And this is stuff that, oh, I'm just going to go out and buy a cheap ass hot plate website or Bakesy website, and you're not getting all the follow up and all the
Right.
stuff that helps you market up behind it. And this is not going to help you grow your business. If you got people that love what you sell, you really need to get on the bandwagon here and realize you're losing sales opportunities for future
Hmm.
things, right? So when you have new things that you want to promote, now they're on your mailing list and you can blast out a text or an email. You can send a text out that to an entire database at one time, or over time drip this out. Like I had my team this weekend was working on our new stuff that we're going to be rolling out for strictly the cottage industry, that or anybody who sells anything from their home that they're allowed to legally do in any state you're in. We're building up your mailing list templates for you. So you all you need to do is go to one spot and fill out what is your product you're selling. So if it's tamales, which I'm going to tell you a quick tamale story here in a second, and then we're going to wrap it up. But I that if you just put tamales in one spot and it fills into every template in the entire email and text program, that is automatically going to drip out. So let me give you an example. I was driving home the other day after getting my nails done, and I really didn't plan, but while I was out to get my nails done, okay? He's laughing because I told her the story. It's
Because I
hot as
already
hell
heard it. It's
outside.
so
I
funny.
know. I live out in BFE, North Scottsdale, and I'm out in the desert. And I'm 30 minutes from the closest grocery store, and I can't go to the grocery store after my nails because I didn't plan. I had my tennis shoes on, and I did not want to put my shoes back on. So I I had those little cheesy. Yeah, I don't have. I threw them
Flip-flop
in the
things that
garbage.
they
The
have.
little
Yeah.
cheesy flip flop things if you get your pedicures done, right? So I had those on. I'm driving home. I'm like, shit. I wish I had something for dinner. So I'm driving home, and I live out in kind of the rural part of Maricopa County, And I'm driving, and I see this woman on the side of the road out in the desert. Like, I'm about 5 minutes from home, and she's standing out there with a sign that's just a cardboard, poster board, tamales. And she's standing there. For those of you on, on YouTube, you can see me. She's just waving them back and forth. She's tipping the sign back and forth. And I'm driving at like 50 miles an hour. I slam on my brake with the sandal on, I pull over, and I'm like, yeah, dinner. So I realized I didn't have any shoes. And we're on the side road, gravel, dirt, lots of rocks. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be brilliant. And there's a lot of traffic going by. I'm like, well, oh, well, I'm hungry. I got to get food. I get out of the car in these stupid ass sandals, and I'm walking up to this tent, and it's hot as hell out. And she's selling these frozen tamales out of a cooler, which in hindsight, as I went home, because I did buy some, and they weren't actually cheap. I got a dozen for $30. That's how desperate I was, but they were
Yikes.
good. But I
I
realized she
hope
really
so.
wasn't following the cottage food. When I got home, I just grabbed it and ran because but I was chatting with her about, hey, do you have a website? She goes, no, I've been meaning to work on one. I gave her my card, obviously, because I'm like, I'll help you here. And then I get in the car and I go home. I realize that she actually did not have all of the tagging or
Labels and
the
all that
labels on
stuff.
it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, well, we're eating it anyway. If I end up with the craps, I end up with the craps. But we were good. We were good. Makes me want to sing that diarrhea song, but all was good. And but the point I'm making is that your marketing is so key to you. And if she had had a sign up with a QR code there, I could have ordered more from her, and we could
Yeah.
have worked out a way to get them from her. And I know she had to have traveled a long way to get up to this location, because this is a location that didn't it's out in the county. Most people, like, you can just set up out there. There's all kinds. Like yesterday I drove by there, and there was somebody selling, which I was so surprised. He was making kettle corn in the heat. I mean, what?
Oh,
Anyway, people were
brutal.
stopped. They sell honey and stuff out there. So it's kind of a farm stand on the side of the road that was just randomly, people just go out there and try to stake their claim when they can. And so anyway, but it worked. I guess the point I'm making, except she lost an opportunity with me. And here's another thing. I said, do you take Venmo? Because she said, no, I do Zelle. I go, I don't do Zelle because I got fished on it. And I go, do you got
Yeah.
Venmo? She goes, yeah, hold on a minute. And so she gets a hold of her boyfriend. She doesn't even have Venmo. The whole thing was cash. I didn't have cash on me. I gave all my tip money to the tow person. And so I was like, you don't have any way to take money either. I said, hook up with us because we can get people to. She goes, I want to take credit cards and all. I don't even know how. I'm like, that's what I'm here for. Take my card. But she wasn't prepped for that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't
Yeah.
just go out to like this, especially in our neighborhood.
You
Most
can,
people,
but you're going to lose sales.
you're
People
going
are
to
going to
lose
keep going.
sales.
Nobody carries money. Nobody
Yeah,
carries
they
money.
don't. I mean, the
So,
ones that do, it's a nice bonus, but you've got to be prepared, right?
yeah.
So you pay a little bit to be able to take credit cards, and so that's fine. But the bottom line is she could have done way better, I think. But I'm sure she sold out. When she
Hmm.
opened up her cooler, she was probably about down by 2/3 of whatever was probably in there. And because, people out here are desperate because they got to drive 30 minutes for food. So I just encourage that you do that. Also, make sure that you get back onto social. And I know you probably all hate it, but you got to get on social and start
Hmm.
posting recap photos of things that you've done. I got a gig as a result of the video that we did the grazing at the wedding. And because we're posting video, I just went back into my personal account and posted videos, and on our business account of the grazing table that we did. And so much activity is happening. People just see what you're doing. And it's as simple as that. Just say, look at this
Hmm.
amazing wedding grazing table we had. It was a hit. You don't even have to sell yourself, except do put your website link in there. Like, if you want something like this too, you can. But if they'll probably reach out to you, people that because your people that are your best referrals, right? They already know you, they trust you, and they're going to give your name out to everybody else out in the world. So there's a zillion ways to do this, and it starts with us helping you. Just saying. So
Yeah.
get our help, and definitely tap into our free resources. You can get to that at grazingbiz.com/resources. We have free and paid help there. and join and get in the show notes wherever we're at, showing up here on YouTube, on our podcast,
Yeah.
on our social, because we can help you with this stuff and stop. And here's the thing. If you're trying to go over a $10 website, you're going to get what you pay for. You're not going to get all this other really good advice and help from us. The
Hmm.
way we can help you if you come into our world, we'll be able to provide you live and free, live and on-demand training, which we have, to help you get off the ground. You might pay a little more than well, I know you're going to pay more than your $10 Bakesy website, but there's a difference here. If you are serious about making this a full-time gig for yourself, and even if it's not full-time, but you want to make more money to help support your family during these very expensive times in our world, this is the time to do it. And not sometimes, investing in your business is only going to be a plus for you so that you
Hmm.
can sell more. Andrea's using all of our tools I mean, it was working amazingly this weekend.
Yeah,
She
it
got her
did.
new
It worked
iPad,
great.
and
Hmm.
you can integrate if you want with your it keeps calling, well, we use the credit card thing, but you also have the what is the new machine that you got to attach to the software.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
that
use
helped
your
a lot too.
phone
Yeah.
with our program. You
Yeah.
can with our software, you can use your phone and that would be a tap to pay. I have
Hmm.
enough products to justify and I've been making money as I've progressed here. So I bought an iPad and with the iPad I bought the Stripe tap to pay, which also does the insert and it swipes. So,
Right. The square tap to pay too, you did that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's basically the same, and I just held it
You could do it
out
on
and
your phone.
people, oh my God, it was like, I couldn't even believe it. The struggle was real. And so before
It
this,
helped.
and now this thing is
Nice
just
and easy.
massive. And it was the second time I'd used it and had no idea that it would make such a difference in my world.
Right. And it integrates
Especially because
directly with
this
the
is what
soft.
I do, so it
Right.
integrated with the software, all the information went straight into the software. It was just great.
Into our
So, with
tools. So
that
now we've got
said, we
all the
can have a whole
sales.
nother conversation on that one too, but
Hmm.
we do need to kind of
Yeah,
wrap it up.
we got stuff to do. Hope
I
you all
know. I
had
gotta go.
get ready for your markets, I guess. So that's what we're here to
Yeah.
help you get going. Like this, not just go out there and schlep your bread out on the street, because you have so many opportunities to make more money off of this. And we're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
get you set up before you do that. It's just like I tell my agents, don't start running Facebook ads until you get the back end of this set up, because you're just going to lose opportunities, and we don't want to
Yeah.
see you do that. So anyway, that's it, sister. Get your butt down here. We're going to go eat Chinese
Yeah.
food with our
Yeah.
mother in the
I know
in
she
the
just
100
texted
degree
me while
heat.
we were here, right? I'm
Yeah,
going to San Diego, so we'll talk to you guys hopefully in another week or so.
yeah.
We'll try to get another one scheduled, another good podcast
Yeah,
scheduled.
I have I think we might have a special guest at our next podcast. I'm trying to work
Good.
out schedule with her. She's also got a small child that she's got to work with her. But she is a charcuterie cart vendor, and she's got some great tips and
Great.
advice. So I'm hoping to get her scheduled into our next one, if not shortly thereafter. So anyway,
Okay.
have a wonderful day,
I'll
everybody,
see you
and
in
a
a few
great
hours.
week.
Bye,
We'll see you
everybody.
soon. Bye.